Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. We have more LSU football practice highlights for you. Start things off here. Kyle Parker has an unfortunate drop, kind of wide open. In coverage, you saw J.K. Johnson, Major Burns, Kylan Jackson. Moving on, Shelton Sampson and Mason Taylor getting some reps. A little bit of an interesting reaction here. We got, full pads on. The guys are getting back into the hitting. Just not necessarily in this period. You see Jair Brown lay out Mason Taylor. Coaches weren't too thrilled about that one. Moving in, Kyron Lacey, then you got Bernard or Wallace. I can't really make out if it's a 28 or 29. Either way, it gets cooked on this route. Out of bounds, circus catch, but Kyron Lacey showing off the hands, what he's capable of. Here's Zay Thomas getting back into the fold on P.J. Woodland. Gabe Leonard doesn't get the target, but if you notice, he looks healthy, Zay Thomas. He looks like he can turn in the short field, and that's exactly what this offense is kind of trying to do. It's what they've been trying to embody. Javen Nicholas gets outside, drops it over, it looks like Zai, and another one with Wallace. Zai's back on the field, which is a good sign. Seems like he's a little bit healthy. Here's Ashton Stamps on Shelton Sampson. And Ashton in the inside routes, Ashton in anything really short and quick, it's been kind of a mismatch. And I mean, I say that in the nicest way. He's been our best corner. But it's a little bit interesting to see situations like that unfold here. You got Kamorian Pimpton in the mix with CJ Daniels. It looks like with Chris Hilton as well, running with the ones. He gets an opportunity over Jawan and goes up and gets it. I think you'll see that a lot this season. I mean, just the simple fact that he's out there against, J.K. Johnson, other people that'll be in the starting fold. Plus, he's playing alongside his, future teammates that he's going to be on the field with, and Chris Hilton and C.J. Daniels, C.J. Blitnikoff, watch list member. I mean, it's good company to be alongside. Here, another little implementation of a new up-and-comer in the ones. You got Mason Taylor and Nuss, of course, but then you got Kylan Billiot going inside on Jair Brown, Jordan Gilbert in coverage on Mason Taylor, nothing there in the flat. Look over to old 82 with the freshman. Shout out with the good hands, getting 6. A nice little grab. He's been kind of speeding some things up in practice. Another player, Kyron Lacey, going, against P.J. Woodland, catching him on a zig route. And look, P.J.'s young. Those are the things you want to iron out in camp, but Kyron Lacey's too fast for anybody. I mean, Kyron Lacey can put your head in a swivel in about 3 seconds. And this is a little bit of an interesting situation here. You got C.J. Daniels off the line getting pressed by Major Burns. He uses the press against Major, gets open on a double move, and that's something that you're really not going to want to see from your star position starter. You're going to want to see, look, if you're pressing, stay with them. Don't try to make up time. Don't try to, fill in that gap with an uber aggressive move and get pieced. Here's Shelton Sampson creating something. And look, I've seen a lot of Shelton Sampson this camp. And I know he's going to get his reps. I know he's going to get him. But he's been kind of turning up the heat a little bit, if I do say so myself. Here's Kyle Parker kind of trying to make something shake. Then you got Jelani on the inside. It's been interesting to see them two piece together. Zay Thomas on Ashton Stamps. Much of the same. The inside routes are kind of not necessarily too much for Ashton, but they've been cooking him a little bit. Zay Thomas is quick. A hamstring injury ain't bothering him, apparently. It looks like he's, kind of the same old player. Here, Trudez Green. You got Aaron Anderson, and here's Kyle right here coming inside. Sage Ryan kind of missing an assignment. You see Sage and Corey afterwards have a little bit of a conversation. And now, just judging off of the body language, it could mean two things, obviously. The thing that I'm going to allude to is just they're not picking on you. They're trying to help you grow. That's been the theme, at least in the last couple of days for us on this show, is that, the coaches are kind of, nitpicky and fine-tuning the details, but they have to. Here's Braden Swinson back on the field. He's been gone with some academic issues, but I wanted to make a note of that. He returned to practice. It was rumored he would return on Monday. He returned today. We got some D-line action. You got Caden Durham running against the ones. You saw Jacoby and Guillory kind of trying to fill his gap assignment right there. And, they didn't have a horrible day. The defensive line has repeatedly kind of made their presence felt, kind of imposed their will. They're starting to try to turn some things up and just, be that soft, consistent spot for the defense. Just because the coverage, that it might be a flag, might be a problem. Here you see Harold Perkins utilizing that inside gap. Hey, he might be able to read his keys, might be able to get in and create some havoc from that position, believe it or not. A lot of people want to see him in the backfield rushing the quarterback, but kind of just getting that brain, getting that understanding of the entire scheme is going to put you in a position to make a play regardless of where you are. See Womack right here with Whit Weeks. A little bit interesting just with the personnel. You would think Womack would be out there with the ones, but I guess with Swinson's return, they're trying to kind of throw that into the mix a little bit, because Savion is probably not getting off of one side, so now you got a decision to make, and you'll probably just substitute that. Here you go with Nussmeier breaking down the sideline. Oh my God, give him the Heisman Award right now. I've seen enough. Cash it in, another LSU Heisman. Then coming in here, here's Womack coming off the side, playing a little bit of a spy. And Caden Durham runs pretty well. That's kind of why in the last stream where we talked about a freshman I could seeing the field. I mean, Caden Durham isn't a bad option just because he's a strong runner, he's a big back, and then also you're at a position where, if a guy like this, Caleb Jackson, knock on wood, inevitably needs a breather, inevitably goes down, you're going to have a next man up and someone like this. You're going to see here a mixture of D tackles, a mixture of combinations. You saw Kalaj Cobbins in right there as a freshman. They're really just trying to throw mixes together, honestly see what works. This is the best time to do it. Just kind of throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, so to speak. You got Will Campbell getting hype over a play like that. Check out Dominic McKinley. You're getting pulled on a double team here. He kind of gets stuffed up, I'm not going to lie. John Emery utilizes that, gets in, gets to the open field. Anytime you're celebrating with your offensive coordinator getting dabs, you're doing something right. I think John Emery's going to probably be your lead horse for this room, if I had to guess. You've seen a lot from him. You've also seen a lot from this young man right here, Kamorian Pimpton, getting active again. This is kind of what we've been talking about with the offensive scheme, though. It's going to change a little bit. You're going to see a lot more short field utilization. You're going to see a lot more motion sets, a lot more things, just quick dump off routes where you're not going to have to wait forever for something to develop. You're going to be able to try to get your guys open, get your guys in space a little bit. Here's the offensive line depth. You got Garrett Dellinger kind of working here. With the O-line, this is a spot that obviously you don't have to worry about. This is really just kind of a depth thing. You kind of just want to see who's the next man up. There you saw Miles Frazier kind of turning up the fire. Here's Ori Williams, big 6'8". I think he's going to be an interesting spot to continue to watch develop. With that size, with that ability, seems like the writing's on the wall for him to have a big career at LSU. Here's Bo Bordelon kind of showing off those hands, showing off the potential depth here. Emory Jones, showing what he's capable of. I feel like he's a first-round talent. Just close and shut case. There's not much, arguing you have to do around him. He's kind of had an interesting start at LSU, just getting thrown into the mix as a freshman alongside someone like Will Campbell, still able to shine, still able to get him. Seeing just really the size and the entire room as a whole is positive. It kind of speaks volumes as to what Brad Davis was able to do. We kind of dial it back to Brian Kelly's first year, where you really didn't know who you were throwing on the field. You really didn't have any consistency at that position. 40% of your offensive line were freshmen, and everyone was worried about how they would be able to handle it. And I feel like they handled it pretty well. Here you see Cohen Eccles getting some tutelage, getting some fine tuning. Here's another big sized lineman that they recruited and that they're going to, quite frankly, rebuild this position group with. If you keep getting blue chips, if you keep getting the big guys, if you keep getting people that are towering over a defensive line, seems to be the method to the madness. It seems to be kind of easily repeatable, at least from that standpoint. Then they did their kickoffs, they did their special teams groups. We really didn't get a good look at the returners. I feel like they were kind of just there as decoys, just to kind of simulate the drill, simulate where the spacing would be, trying to give the kicker a spot to aim for. If you had to get me to guess who the returners would be, I would throw Jelani Watkins' name in the hat. I would throw Aaron Anderson's name in the hat. The reason why I wouldn't want Zay Thomas in there anymore, and I know we were kind of rumoring that was who you saw working out in that group, that might be a good fit. He did it at Miss State. What I saw today with Zay Thomas in the open field, leave him on the offense. Do not put him out there to get hit. I know he could get you, 20, 30 yards up front in a bite and take off 3 first downs, but he could be a weapon. He could be a piece that you throw out there if something happens, if something's getting covered, if you really don't know what to do. I feel like he's going to be that X factor. And Zay Thomas, he's been hidden with the hamstring injury. This is his first real practice going and just letting it rip. Looks 100%. Another player that I want to note looks better, at least in terms of, comparing their recovery. Zy Alexander, he looks comfortable. He's still out here, easing into it. But I think that's going to be one of your biggest boosts to this defense. If you see Zy Alexander come back, and then you can move Sage Ryan back to a comfortable safety position or, even some other spot, that'll probably alleviate a lot of the worry that people have going into this game. And I mean, you don't necessarily want to go through the notes and go through Twitter and make your coaching assignments off of that. But I do think, though, that there is some value in getting consistency, like with a guy like Zy Alexander. I think really the main thing I would say with the Sage Ryan move to corner at this fall camp period is simply just cross training, trying to make sure that if he has to play that position, if he has to get thrown into that fold, he's ready. I'd imagine safety would be the first look. We've talked to him in the past months ago, and he was saying safety would be first look, but he also had mentioned he's ready for whatever. He's ready to just get an opportunity, and he'll take it and just, you know, try to run with it. But that moment with him, with Corey Raymond, it's not necessarily a bad one. It could be one that honestly gets him that much closer to being an elite level DB at the SEC level. Corey Raymond knows what he's talking about, and when he talks, I would listen. It's my guess on it. We got another practice update coming for you Monday. We're not going to have any access with the camera. We will be in there taking notes, so we'll go live on Monday, do our usual coverage. On Tuesday, we'll be in with a camera. I believe we have one more viewing day in the middle of the week, and then on Saturday we'll have another one. So mark your calendars for that. Appreciate all the support in the recent videos. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss another practice update. This has been the Verdin Verdict. Y'all have a good one.